Alrighty, guys, welcome back to another episode of Unwrap This. We're going to talk about the women's college basketball tournament. The brackets are out. They came out on Monday, and this is Friday. They don't start till Sunday, so it gives us some time to look at the brackets and give our maybe upset picks if we're gonna have some. But it's the tournament. We're gonna have some, and give our final four picks and give our champions. I have Nick with me. Nick, introduce yourself, plug your stuff in, shout yourself out. Give yourself all the glory.
All right. As you all know, my name is Nick Andre in the sports world, basketball writer of all things. Very active on NBA Twitter or basketball Twitter in general, whatever you want to call it. Follow me on Twitter right there at Nick Andre ATR if you don't want to miss like all of my content that I put out. So that's about it.
All right. And I'm simply me _AV on Twitter. All my plugins are in the bio. I don't want to go through all those. All right. Before we get started, of course, bills have to be paid. Sponsors have to be shouted out. Here we go. Teespring.com. OG gear at the top. Newer gear in the middle, towards the middle. Then we got some LeBron gear. A lot of LeBron fans in Unwrapped Sports Network. This is teespring.com/stores/unwrapped. All this great gear. All the live lineups have gear, including mine. There I am. And then there's my cute mug. So all the live lineups have gear. You guys go check out that gear at teespring.com/stores/unwrapped. Also, to win money, to buy that gear, here we go. A lot of betting going on. And I mean a lot of betting. Live betting. Yeah. The bracket, I think it's $10 to win 1,000, but I don't know. That might be different now because I think the bracket is closed. Look at this, guys. Live betting. You can bet on anything. Look at this, especially the NCAA tournament. I haven't watched a lick of NBA basketball since, the tournament started.
I like barely watched last night's game between the Hornets and Lakers. I like kind of caught it at the end. But yeah, I've been watching March Madness since.
Yeah, March Madness will consume my life for the whole March and the first week of April. But here's some live betting, guys. And some NHL, we got baseball, we got NASCAR, anything you want. It even had like Grammys and Oscar winners betting as well. So check out mybookie.com. Use the code USN100 to double your first deposit. Also, sore, achy muscles. Sore, achy muscles. We have CBD cream, rxhemp.com. Cool and warm therapy. Guys, look at this dosage and pay attention to it. Don't rub too much on. If you don't feel it burning in the first couple of seconds, that's okay. The burn will get to you. Trust me. So be careful when you're using this warm and cool therapy. This is rxhemp.com. It's made with all natural products. Use the code rxhemp/USN to get 10% off of your entire order. Last but not least, the Unwrapped Sports Network is a part of Patreon. Yes, we are a part of Patreon. If I can find it, there we are. A part of the Patreon. Patreon.com/unwrappedsports. $1 to become a fan per month. $5 to become family. 10% off the Teespring store. And you get in our Discord chat and you get to have some fun, talk sports with us and other things. And then $10 a month is VIP. 20% off the Patreon code. And you get to talk in the Discord chat. And you get in a raffle to get something that whatever Perry decides to put in. Last month was a Keenan Allen jersey. I was a winner. Whoop, whoop. This month is the David Montgomery Bears signed jersey, and then a $10 gift card from Amazon. So support the Unwrapped Sports Network at patreon.com/unwrappedsports. All right, our first subject, before we get into the brackets, it was hot on Twitter. It was hot off the press. I've tweeted this before. Twitter is like my newspaper. I open it when I wake up in the morning and I scroll through it all day long. And the hottest topic on Twitter outside the games being played was about the women's NCAA facilities. Nick, I'm going to let you go first. By the way, guys, they are in San Antonio. So let me get that out the way.
Definitely.
But Nick, you can take the floor on this one.
So over the last few days, I've taken a I've taken like a little break from social media, just just to get a break from it. Sometimes I spend too much time on it, and sometimes you want to focus on other things. So my first day back on Twitter was yesterday, and as I'm scrolling down, middle of the afternoon, I start seeing a lot of the players, kind of voice frustrations and everything, and I'm trying to figure out, what's going on. And then I see a picture. It has the men's training facility at the top, and then the females training facility at the bottom, and you see all types of weights and everything at the top, like barbells, all that, and then you just see a whole rack of dumbbells at the bottom. So I'm thinking like, yo, this has to be a joke. There's literally no way that this can be. And as soon as I started kind of figure out what was going on, I found it was true, and I was like, wow. And I want people to understand this too, because I'm a former basketball player. I played in high school, so I understand how hard it is to get recognized. I understand how hard it is to really, get a lot of offers from a lot of great programs, out there around the country. So, for a lot of these athletes, both male and female, to be able to get Division I scholarships to a lot of these big time schools, to be able to perform at the next level, that's a special privilege. And I feel like no matter who you are, whether it's man or woman, you should be treated with that type of respect. So I do understand, the men's get a boatload of ratings, way more than females. I understand March Madness is like, what everyone anticipates, but the females bring it too, so I feel like, they should be treated with that same type of respect. They should have the same amount of like utilities and everything that the men do. Like right in my room right now, I have more workout equipment than the women's do, which is crazy. So from my perspective, I do think that the NCAA should do a better job. I know they did issue an apology. In all honesty, I don't really care to hear it, because there's really no excuse for that, and they need to do better going forward, basically.
Y'all gotta do better. That's why this segment is called Y'all Gotta Do Better. And when I saw it, Nick, my first reaction was, I talked about it on Ladies First, was whoa. Like I couldn't believe it. Then a lot of things start to come out. The meals, what the kind of meals they were getting.
Oh yeah.
The swag pack came out. The meals, the swag pack, and then the space. Okay, so they have the dumbbells against the wall, right? And then they have all this space where they just could have built a weight room. The men's weight room looks like a football field full of weights.
Definitely.
I mean, it's ridiculous. And then you see the facilities that they're playing in San Antonio. And then I wake up this morning and I see a apology from the NCAA. I'm like, you know what? I don't care for the apology. Just do better. You knew what this tournament meant to these ladies, because they did not get to play last year. Neither did the men. Right. They won't be able to have friends and family there and their fans. I think it's going to be limited, even though Texas is open. They're still going to have COVID protocols. You knew how much this meant to these women. You knew that everybody has a phone, a camera, and social media, and you still are blatantly ignorant. And for me, as a woman that played college basketball, I didn't play Division I basketball, but I played college basketball. Gino Auriemma and Don Staley have come out and said, you see it. You see it every day. Men's and women's programs are different. Now, you can go deeper into that, with the donors and things like that. But UConn's women's basketball team has always been better than the men's basketball team. I'm just going to put that out there right now. When you think of UConn, you think women's basketball. When you think of Tennessee, you think of women's basketball. So these programs have been the forefront of women's college basketball, but Gino Auriemma says that there are huge discrepancies in facilities. I know the UConn play off campus, they play in a different facility, but there are huge discrepancies in facilities. And I don't know if it's donor money. I don't know if it's the AD. I have no clue, but I know men's football and men's basketball bring in a lot of money into universities. I get that. I understand that. But if you cannot provide these women with adequate care and adequate equipment, why even bother, San Antonio? Why would you even bother to host the tournament if you knew you were going to, excuse my language, half-ass it and not put forth the effort? It just doesn't make any sense to me. And it's very frustrating to see these women. They work so hard to get here. 2 years. It's been since 2019 since we had a tournament. We didn't have it in 2020. Just
Right.
imagine waiting a whole 2 years to play and they give you this bull jive. Just imagine. San Antonio, if you could not do it, then why did you volunteer to do it? Period. And I'm just being honest with you.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this honestly makes everybody look bad, from the NCAA to San Antonio. Like, this type of situation just cannot happen. And like I said, these are Division I basketball players. You know what I'm saying? These are big time programs. Like, you can't, no matter who it is, no matter how much money they bring in, what the ratings are, these women have put forth the effort for a long time now to put themselves in this position, and especially considering that they are in this tournament. It really makes people understand that they're really a contending team. So, like, just looking at that whole facility and just, seeing just like one rack of of dumbbells, like, it's just ridiculous to me. And me and you, we were also talking about allegedly what Nick Young has said in the Instagram comments. I don't know if he did it. He did say that he was hacked, so I'm not sure if he actually said it or not. But either way it goes, these are Division I players. That's all I'm going to keep saying. Like, no matter who it is, these are players who are like projected to go to the WNBA, who are projected to go, make a killing overseas. Wherever go, they are expected to go to that next level after their senior year. So, like, there's really just no excuse for any of this to even take place.
And I tried to wrap my hand around it, and I read the comments, and I saw some, of course, misogynist comments from men, of course. I don't understand. I said this on Twitter, and I'll say it again. And I don't use the word hate. I don't like to use the word hate. So I'll say this. I don't understand why the world dislike women so much. I don't understand it. Now, the world is not made to be balanced. I get that. But we all come from a woman. Your mother had you in some capacity.
Definitely.
And
that's a fact. That's 100%.
I mean, you know what I mean? I think about the Tupac song, we all came from a woman, got our name from a woman. Yeah, you know what I mean? And you think about that and you look and see the disrespect blatantly on social media. I had a guy ask me to name every quarterback in the NFL one time. And I said, do you want it broken down by division? What college they went to? And he couldn't even name 6. So
definitely.
The disrespect that women go through on social media just because they're in sports, and it just shows. It's just irritating. We're tired of it. It's 2021. Social media will bully you. They bullied the NCAA, and I knew it was going to happen. I knew it was going to happen. Kyrie came forth. Kyrie is our king. I love me some Kyrie. Oh, his energy is just so pure. I love Kyrie. He came forth and made a statement, and somebody said, they put Nick Young's post and Kyrie's post next to each other. They said, this is a boy and this is a man.
Oh, man. That's funny.
So, we appreciate the Kyrie Irvings of the world. Carmelo Anthony wore a women's t-shirt today. I retweeted it. Let's look at it. Hold on, let me share my screen now. I don't mind.
You know what's funny about all this? Like, it's the same men that are gonna be out here wearing the orange WNBA hoodie. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm being honest. Like, it's crazy. Like, it's the same guys that are like, making it like a fashion to wear like these WNBA hoodies, and then go out there and say, oh well, they're not making any money, or they're not bringing in any money because they're women. Like, it's insane to me.
Yeah, there's Melo representing for the women. Okay, this is my timeline, guys. Maria Taylor had a message for the Queens, and then there's somebody predicted the upset. Here's Dick's Sporting Goods. Dick's Sporting Goods made a statement: have worked quickly to get truckloads of fitness equipment ready to send to the women's tournament bubble. We are standing by to deliver it and have your facility outfitted within hours. Let's make it happen. That's what I'm talking about, Dick's.
Definitely.
How does Dick's Sporting Goods step up like that? How?
Let's even say that they even had to do that, man. Like, that's crazy.
It is. And I'm going to show you one more thing. Let me see if I can find it. Buffalo Wild Wings like my tweet. Appreciate you, Buffalo Wild Wings. I think I retweeted. here's the Orange Theory. So Orange Theory, they have a gym. So here it is. Teams at the women's 2021 NCAA tournament. We see you. We hear you. We want to help. So they ready to drop the weights off on site. You know what I mean? They ready to come on site. And I really, really like that people are stepping up and wanting to help when the NCAA has done nothing to help. They haven't even said, oh, we're going to make this better. They just said, oh, we messed up. We apologize. I said, oh, my goodness. So y'all got to do better.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely got to do better.
Yeah, y'all got to do better. The disrespect is just, it will not be tolerated. All right, here we go, Nick. You ready for this bracket?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, boy.
By the way, people, like for everyone out there listening, I have watched the majority of NCAA women, but I do not know every single player by heart. So please bear with me. I do know about the teams, but I don't know particularly every single player, every single like really important player on each team. So just bear with me.
Same. I don't know every single important player on the men's team either. I know what I need to know. I know what I need to know, and that's what I know.
Definitely.
That's how we're gonna say that. All right, Nick. We got the Alamo, the Riverwalk, the Hemisphere, and the Mercado bracket. Let's start at the top. Number 1 overall seed. I believe is it UConn or Stanford?
It's Stanford.
It's Stanford. Okay, I was making sure. I was like, wait a minute. The only reason why UConn didn't get that number 1 overall seed is because they didn't play enough games. I'm a firm believer of that.
Right.
Firm believer of that. Okay. We got UConn, Utah Valley, Oklahoma State, Wake Forest, Missouri State. They didn't get to play their tournament, but I think they can play in the NCAA tournament against UC Davis. Arkansas, Wright State, Oregon, South Dakota. See, that's a sneaky game right there. Georgia and Drexel. Shout out to Drexel, men's and women's both making a tournament. Northwestern, UCF, Louisville, Marist. All right, Nick, what's interesting about this bracket?
Well, obviously, I mean, the first one that comes to mind when you think about this is really Stanford's dominance. I mean, they've been just killing it in the Pac-12. Being able to win that championship against UCLA. Just continuing to like keep momentum flowing from there. Obviously, Haley Jones is one of my favorites in the entire Pac-12. With the way that she's just able to play all over the floor. So, Stanford is a really great defensive team as well. Like they're really active, whether they're playing a man, whether they're playing a zone, they really get at it. So, I think, their defense is really going to take them a long way along with their offense. But the one team that I'm really looking forward to see is obviously Louisville at the number 2 spot. I think this is Dana Evans' time to really show everybody like who she really is and really just take over. I mean, obviously it was a tough loss in the ACC tournament against NC State. But I think this is her time, especially with this being her last ride. I think she's going to really have a chip on the shoulder.
You know what? I'm going to tell you a team that people need to look out for in this tournament. And not just because my surgeon's daughter plays for them, but Arkansas. I like Arkansas.
Chelsea Dunn is a beast.
She is.
She's a beast.
Arkansas has the backcourt. They have the athleticism. They just kind of had an up and down season. They were up, and then they had some losses. And then they were up, then they had some losses. The SEC was one of the best conferences in women's college basketball this season. I think, call me crazy, I think Arkansas could make a run. Definitely. Also, this bracket is a little stacked because Georgia could make a run. They did just lose to South Carolina in the SEC championship.
Even Oregon, to some degree.
Even Oregon. And Louisville, I love me some Dana Evans.
Dana Evans is cold, man.
She's a first-team All-American this season. I love her. I love her to death. Stanford has that defense. They do have the co-defensive player of the year in the Pac-12. I did all the conference awards. I did that on Ladies First last night. You guys should go check that out. But I like Stanford. But if they play Arkansas, I think that would be that'd be Sweet 16 matchup, correct? Yes, because 1 and 4. Mm-hmm. That could be a tough matchup. I also think Georgia and Louisville will be a good matchup as well. If we got the top 4 teams in this bracket. Oregon Oregon is one of those teams, start off hot in the Pac-12, got a little cold, but finished strong, got a 6 seed. Could Oregon possibly upset, let's see, Georgia in that second round? And if they do upset Georgia, can they upset Louisville?
That's the breaker right there. Honestly, Oregon to me, and I really watched like a lot of limited games on them, but they're really sneaky. Like, they've been in that hunt, especially in the Pac-12. Being there, and this, I think they've been really overlooked because you look at the teams like Stanford, UCLA, and a lot of other teams. I think Oregon's just kind of been under the radar there. And God, I always forget her name. Satu Sabali's sister. God dang it, I always forget her name.
Yeah,
but
I do.
She's been on a mission.
Yeah.
Over this past season. So, you never know. They could possibly become a Cinderella story if you think. Even though they are sitting at the number 6 seed, I want to say.
Okay, so Nick, does Stanford make it out of this bracket?
You talking about like as far as winning it all?
Just winning that bracket.
Winning that bracket?
Yeah. Do they make it to the Final Four?
I think they do. I don't know, man. Because I really like Louisville, man. I really like Louisville, and I want Dana Evans to win. I'm sorry, I'm biased. I really do want her to win.
Okay, it's all right.
But but the way that Stanford really plays on both ends of the floor, and the way that they're able to get everybody involved within the offense and everything, I just feel like that's the advantage that they have against a lot of teams. So I do think that the last two teams in this bracket will be those two, but it'll be tough. But I think Stanford might get it by a slide.
Okay, I like to always go
underdog.
Yeah. If Arkansas can find a way to find that early season groove that they had, mm-hmm. I honestly think they could give Stanford a run for their money. I'm not saying they can beat Stanford, but that Sweet 16 matchup is very enticing if they get by Rice State. Now, if Missouri State gets by UC Davis, that could be a tough matchup for them. But if Arkansas can somehow beat Stanford, I'm not saying they will, somehow, I think they have the firepower on offense to do it. Georgia and Louisville will probably be the game of the tournament if it happens that way. If Louisville cannot get beat by Marist and get upset, and if Georgia can beat Drexel, and then whoever Louisville plays in the second round, and whoever Georgia plays in the second round, Georgia's second round matchup will be a lot tougher, I think, than Louisville's second round matchup, so they can cause them a little hiccup. But I want to go with Stanford so bad because I love Tara Vanderveer. She has the longest streak of NCAA tournament appearances, over 30. It's 30 plus, actually. I'm going to say Louisville's making that at this bracket.
Okay. I'm not mad at that either. I'm not mad at that, man. But it's like, it's a tough one. It's a tough one.
It's tough because the way that Stanford plays defense and the way that they shoot the ball and the size and the length. But I love Dana Evans. Dana Evans is the best player in this bracket. And usually, typically, you got the best player on the floor, you're going to win the game. Oral Roberts had the best two players on the floor. People like, oh, this Oral Roberts, they played Ohio State. They had the best two players on the floor. They had the nation's leading scorer, and they had a big man that averages 18 a game, and they beat Ohio State. I'm a firm believer of that. So I'm going to go with Louisville coming out of this part of the bracket. So I have Louisville coming out of the Alamo side of the bracket. All right, let's switch to the Riverwalk. We got UConn and High Point, Syracuse and South Dakota State. They seem like they're always in the tournament. Iowa and Central Michigan. Kentucky, got to represent for Michael. Idaho State, Michigan, Florida Gulf Coast, Tennessee, Middle Tennessee State. A Tennessee matchup in the first round. When I saw that selection show, I was like, what?
I know, it was crazy.
Virginia Tech and Marquette, Baylor and Jackson State. Shout out to Jackson State, HBCU. Now, when we look at this side of the bracket here, what comes to mind? And I know UConn will come to mind. But what matchup do you think would be the most intriguing in the first round?
Now I'm looking at this. If I want to say, if it's not UConn, obviously, then I want to say Virginia Tech and Marquette. I think that'll be a very interesting matchup at the 7 and 10 position. I think Virginia Tech is like kind of like Oregon. They've kind of been that team that hasn't really been looked upon,
Mm-hmm.
and they have a really good system out there to me. And I must say, if they do make it out of the first round, they'll end up having to play Baylor, and I think they might have a shot at getting Baylor. But that's my opinion. That's my opinion. I don't know. I mean, it's gonna be tough, but yeah, if I had to say like what first round it'll be, it'll probably be that one.
Okay, and you could always go with an 8-9 matchup. It's intriguing because both of those matchups are balanced.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The 7-10s are usually balanced as well. It seems like over the years the 5-12s have been balanced, but I'm gonna go with a 5-12 because I want to see Caitlin Clark put up buckets.
Definitely.
With Iowa against Central Michigan. Shout out to Garrett from Iowa. I know he'd be happy that I'm talking about Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark is a player that you want to watch. How they put Caitlin Clark and Paige in the same Caitlin Clark, Paige, and Rain Howard in the same bracket.
Matchup.
In the same bracket. And on the other side of the bracket, you got you know what? Women's tournament, I'm done with you. You're just acting a fool right now. But I didn't realize it until I watched the after show, of course, for the women's tournament. I'm like, wait a minute, you got all these
top players
in the same bracket. Now, this bracket could bring some surprises. It could maybe potentially. Does UConn look unbeatable to you?
Yes, honestly. And it's not even like just Paige. I think they have a really great overall system. Like, they got Aaliyah Edwards, they got a Avina Westbrook, they got these players that like really know how to do their job and do it the right way. So I think, when you mix all that in, and of course with Paige's heroics, just for her to, I don't know how she just does it. Like, she just knows how to close games. Like, I just feel like, with her leading the way, I just feel like, it's, I don't know. I mean, but at the end of the day, like, anything can happen. You just never know.
You don't never know. And I hope I said that right. You don't never know. I don't think UConn is unbeatable. I don't think that. But when you have the best player on the floor, I've said this before, they have the best team. They will be without their coach for I think the first 2 rounds. Gino can't coach the first 2 rounds.
Mm-hmm.
But it's UConn. They know what to do. The assistant knows what to do.
Exactly.
So they have a well-oiled machine. But I'm going to give you a sneaker. I'm going to give you a sneaker in this. Kentucky is a team.
Definitely.
I like Rain Howard. I like the system at Kentucky. Kentucky women's basketball is on the map. It happened probably about 10 years ago when I was like my last year in college. They started to really make some noise women's college basketball. And I like to see that. I like Rain Howard a lot. Can they get by Idaho State? I don't hope so. I hope so. I don't want to say I don't know because there are going to be some upsets. Now, Michigan and Florida Gulf Coast. Michigan has the Big Ten Player of the Year. Florida Gulf Coast are probably, that matchup is more even than you think, 6 and 11. Tennessee and Middle Tennessee State, in-state rivalry. Now, that will probably be the most interesting matchup in this whole tournament because of the in-state rivalry, right? I don't know if you're going to get that very often. I'm eager to see what Middle Tennessee State does. That Virginia Tech and Marquette just got blown out in the Big East final.
I saw that, yeah.
Yeah, but it's okay. You were playing UConn, and they put them in the same bracket. Okay, NCAA. But can Virginia Tech, they had some momentum. They had some momentum there. They won some games, lost some games. But that's the SEC, the ACC. Those 2 conferences are top conferences in women's college basketball. You're going to have those games. Baylor and what Kim Mulkey is doing down in Baylor. Big 12 school, watch them a lot. They're playing against HBCU, Jackson State. Baylor, I think, has the easiest path. Do
Really?
they have? Do
Okay.
you think they have an easier path than UConn? Do you think? Because you got to play Caitlin Clark in Iowa, and you got to play
Yeah.
Rain Howard in
Yeah.
Kentucky.
When you put it like that, yeah, I think they do. I think UConn has to go through like a lot of like individual powerhouses with
Powerhouses.
Caitlin Clark and Ryan Howard. So yeah, I would definitely say that they have like an easier path.
Okay. Tennessee has some firepower too. Michigan has Big Ten Player of the Year. So for this bracket, who you like, Nick? Go ahead and say
it's, it's a
it.
bit obvious, man. I gotta go UConn. It's only right that I go UConn, man. Like, I mean they've been remarkable all season, which is already expected, especially once they got Page, and they just kept momentum rolling from there. So, but then again, like I said, anything can happen. You got to go up against the Caitlin Clark, who shows that she can get hot in a hurry. So, if she's shooting the lights out and the rest of her team is providing a spark as well, anything can happen. So, but I must pick the women Huskies to get it.
Okay. Now, we're number 2 seed last time with Louisville on the Alamo side of the bracket. This is the Riverwalk side of the bracket. Will it be a Riverwalk in the park for UConn to get to the Final Four? I'm torn between UConn and Baylor. I think that would be the Elite Eight matchup in this bracket, and I'm torn because they match up so well against each other. And both teams are hot. Both teams won their conferences outright. Both teams won their conference tournaments. But I'm going to give the slight edge to UConn. And it's
There you
hard for me
go.
to say because, I have Big 12 in my heart. I have Big 12 in my heart. I have to give the slight edge to UConn there just because they'll have the best player on the floor, but they do match up very well against one another. They do. They match up very well against one another. All
Definitely.
right, let's go to the bottom half of the bracket. Hopefully it shows please show. Okay, here we go. All right, click that off, and I'm going to expand my screen. All right, start with the hemisphere. We got South Carolina and Mercer, Oregon State, Florida State. Shout out to Caleb. Georgia Tech, Stephen F. Austin. West Virginia, Lehigh. Shout out to CJ McCollum.
Yep.
Texas and Bradley. UCLA, Wyoming. Alabama and North Carolina and Maryland. Oh, it didn't show it. Hold on, guys. Let me fix my screen share. Maryland is playing. Shout out to Brenda
Mount St.
Freeze.
Mary's.
I think, yeah, they are. Okay. Why didn't it show that on my screen? Okay, Maryland and Mount St. Mary's. Okay. Okay, there it is, guys. All right. We're looking at the hemisphere part of the bracket. All right, Nick, give it to me. What are you thinking?
Well, I think I must say I am biased towards South Carolina just because I love what they have over there. But I'm gonna say I think this might be the most competitive one. Honestly, I think it is. Like when you look at teams like West Virginia, when you look at teams like Texas, led by the projected number 1 overall pick in the WNBA draft, Alabama's no joke as well. Maryland's no joke. I think
UCLA, they beat
UCLA as
Stanford.
well. Definitely. I think it's not. I think now I will say South Carolina. I do think that they will get out, but I don't think it's going to be a walk in the park. I don't think it is. I think they're going to definitely be battle tested by a lot of these teams. But it'll be interesting to see like what kind of schemes that Don Staley like draws together, and hopefully like come up with like a lot of defensive things to like possibly slow these teams down. But I'm looking at this bracket and I can't believe I'm just not realizing I think this might be the most competitive one, personally.
Yeah, because you do have South Carolina. Georgia Tech is no joke either. West Virginia, Texas, UCLA, Alabama, North Carolina snuck in there. North Carolina
North Carolina
got
snuck in there.
they got in that tournament. They did beat NC State this year, and you got Maryland. Now, Maryland is an interesting team. Maryland is a very hot team
Definitely.
right now. Shout out to Brenda Freeze for winning Coach of the Year. Maryland's a team I wouldn't want to play
Oh yeah.
right now. And does is there a matchup before I ask that question? Is there a matchup that you could see an upset in this bracket because there's so much talent? Could you see an upset by one of these lower seeds? I guess maybe a North Carolina upsetting Alabama, or a Bradley upsetting Texas, a Lehigh upsetting West Virginia. Excuse me. Could you see that? A Mount St. Mary's upsetting Maryland. I don't see that happening.
I don't see that happening either. If I had to choose one, I'll probably say either I'll probably say Alabama against North Carolina. I think North Carolina could possibly beat them, but I mean, I must say I haven't watched a lot of North Carolina this season, but I have watched a lot of Alabama. Alabama can become inconsistent at times, especially when they're battle tested. So that might be a chance for North Carolina to take advantage of that and possibly come away with the win. Now, Alabama's no joke. Let me say, because I love Jasmine Walker. I love Jordan Lewis. I love what they have, but sometimes when they are battle tested, they are not the best at times. So that might be one of the upsets that may happen.
Okay. That's probably what I would go with as well. That's probably what I would go with. That 7-10 matchup always intrigues me. One plays in the SEC, one plays in the ACC, the best two conferences of women college basketball of this season. But when you get to that second round, you're possibly going to have to play Maryland. Can you stop Maryland from scoring?
Oh no.
that's going to be a tough one. And when I look at this top half of the bracket with West Virginia, I watched them a lot, Big 12 school. I love the way they play. They did not play too well against Baylor in the Big 12 championship game.
Right.
But I've seen them play at their best. University of Oklahoma did beat West Virginia this season, but West Virginia is a team that a lot of people didn't pick to be there in the Big 12 championship, but they made it there. Does Texas have the best player on the floor every single night in this bracket?
I think it's between Collier and possibly Aaliyah Boston, because Aaliyah Boston provides a lot of energy on the floor, like
defensively and offensively.
Definitely. So yeah, I think if those two do end up matching up, like Texas and South Carolina, I think that's going to be a really intense matchup. Honestly.
Yeah, that would have to be a what? Let me see. Texas.
It'll probably have to be
a final
Four or Elite 8. Okay.
Yeah, Elite 8 matchup. I have to think about it because they're on the bottom of the bracket. Who has the best team in this bracket? Is it Maryland? Is it South Carolina? Is it possibly UCLA? I
think personally, if I had to choose, I'll say South Carolina, just because they're able to bring it on both ends of the floor, and it's not only Malia Boston. You got Zaya Cook, who has really played tremendously throughout her sophomore season. Destiny Henderson, Brea Beal, so they have a squad that that can really help one another, get going offensively, and also provide a lot of energy on the defensive end. So I think that's where they really isolate themselves from the rest of the teams. Now, I'm not disrespecting Maryland, because Maryland is a great scoring team and they are a great defensive team, but I just don't think that they have enough firepower to get past a team like South Carolina.
Okay. And I would have to agree with you. I would say watch out for Texas and UCLA.
Definitely.
That could be a second round matchup that I would definitely look forward to if it does happen. The length of UCLA against Collier at Texas. She's already declared for the draft. Shout out to you for making your own decision. And I appreciate her for making that decision. I think the WNBA draft is April 15th. I think they already have the date for that. So give me your Elite 8 matchup. I know we didn't do this in the last bracket. I'll hold that for later. But give me your winner. Give me your winner out of this bracket. Who comes out of this bracket?
I honestly hate to keep going with the number one, but I gotta say South Carolina. I mean, I gotta say them. I know I keep going for the top dog, but I just don't see anybody in this bracket beating them. When it comes down to those moments.
I thought they could have won it all last year.
Definitely.
and I'm not going to pick against them this year. Although I will say that this bracket could get competitive with the Texas and the UCLA's and the possibly North Carolinas and the Marylands. It could get very competitive. Georgia Tech, West Virginia. That could be a competitive matchup for them in that Sweet 16 if they have to play West Virginia or Georgia Tech, whoever makes it out of that matchup.
Right.
That could be very interesting. So I'm going to go South Carolina. I'll go South Carolina. So I have Maryland, UConn by a hair, and South Carolina. All right. Let's move to Mercado side of the bracket. We got NC State, North Carolina A&T. Shout out to the HBCUs, another in-state game. South Florida, Washington State, Gonzaga, Belmont, Indiana, VCU, Rutgers, BYU, Arizona. I think they have the best point guard in the country.
Oh yeah.
Stony Brook, Iowa State, Michigan State. That could be interesting. Texas A&M versus Troy. Did NC State really get a competitive bracket? Well, they got Texas A&M and they got Arizona in that bracket. Indiana isn't bad either.
Indiana's not bad at all.
Yeah. So, what are we thinking about this bracket, Nick? What stands out to you?
I'm interested to see. I'm looking at it right now on my phone.
Okay.
I think I'm interested to see that Rutgers BYU that matchup right there. If you're not aware, Arielle Garantes, I want to say that's how you pronounce her name. Rutgers, yeah. She's been on a tear, and she's really looking to continue this momentum going into this tournament. So I think that'll be a good matchup. Also, BYU is no joke as well. So I do think that they will give them a run for their money, but I think Rutgers is probably going to come out on top. And also Arizona. I mean, if you know me, then you know how I feel about Ari McDonald, one of the best in the country. Yep. Just always in attack mode to me, kind of like Dana Evans, Yeah. So I think that'll be interesting. I think she's going to be on the tear as well. So I think honestly, the way I look at the Mercado region is the same that I kind of look as far as the Riverwalk. I think they have a lot of individual firepower on their team that can really beat you. So it's going to be interesting to see what teams really can be able to come out top, come on top led by some of their top players.
Yeah, that in itself is why I love the NCAA tournament, because you just never know. Texas A&M has a great team. I like Texas A&M's team. Inside out game. Shout out to Gary Blair. He's on the Naismith Coach of the Year award list. I love Texas A&M. Used to be in the Big 12, and now in the SEC. I'm a point guard at heart. So Miss McDonald, I love you. She's a pest on the defensive end, and she's a pest on the offensive end. Yep. She goes and gets a bucket. If you haven't watched Pac-12 basketball, she gets buckets. Facts. So I like her a lot. NC State as a team, I love their team. I like Indiana's team. There is some individual firepower. What are you thinking, Nick?
I don't know how I just overlooked Indiana, man. I don't know how I did it. They're right there at the 4th spot. I don't know how I overlooked them. I think they may have a shot at possibly getting to the Elite 8. Honestly, now I think they may have to go through Gonzaga in that second round, but I think that one's going to be a close one. I think that one's probably more balanced than a lot of people think.
Okay. So if they get by VCU and if Gonzaga gets by Belmont, that is going to be a heck of a
it's going to be a
round of 32 matchup. And if Arizona gets by Stony Brook and Rutgers gets by BYU, that's going to be a heck of a
That's going to be a good matchup right there too. Oh my God.
If Iowa State, they can shoot the ball. If Iowa State gets by Michigan State and Texas A&M gets by Troy, that's an old Big 12 matchup.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, Nick, I'm getting goosebumps. Now
it's getting tough, man. It's gonna be tough.
It's gonna be tough. I want to see some upsets. I would love to see some upsets. I don't want my pick to get upset, but I would love to see upsets elsewhere. So
I'm gonna say, if I choose an upset, I'm gonna go Michigan State over Iowa State.
Okay, you go with the 7-10.
Yeah.
Because I can't pick an upset in the 8-9 because they're too balanced, in my opinion. Right. They're way too balanced. Stony Brook is not going to be able to contain McDonald, so that's just not. She's going to be the best player on the floor. Now, is she the best player on the floor in this bracket?
Who's that? You say?
Miss McDonald.
I'll say so. I'll say so. Yeah.
Okay.
Although I do like Garantes, and she is also a great defensive player as well. But Ari McDonald just goes at it. Like she's gonna come at you. She's gonna press you from half court on. Like she's really gonna get to it, and her effort really provides a spark for the team. So that's also why I look at her as the best in this bracket, just because how she's able to go and get hers and also be a leader for her team.
Okay. All right, I have to agree with you there. Team wise, I think Texas A&M and NC State have the best teams. Team wise, this is hard to pick. This bracket is going to be hard to pick, Nick.
Definitely.
So tell me who comes out of this region.
That's tough. I don't know. I think it's gonna be between probably NC State and Texas A&M, but I don't know that one. Honestly, I think it's a lot. I think it's closer than a lot of people would probably think. But I'm gonna just go Texas A&M just because I've been choosing 1 seeds the entire way. I'm gonna go with a 2 seed this time. I'm gonna go Texas A&M.
Okay, I'll go Texas A&M as well. I like Gary Blair. I believe in Gary Blair. I like the guards and the inside out game that they have, and the shooting they have, the defense that they have. So I'm gonna go with Texas A&M. I'm gonna go with A&M. So I picked 2 seeds and 2 1 seeds. You got that balance. Now that we've picked basically our final 4, okay, we've picked our final 4 pretty much. But we're gonna go back a little bit. We're gonna go back just a little bit, and we're gonna talk about our Elite 8 matchups. So let me get the bracket back up for you guys. All right. Elite 8 matchups. Let's go to the Alamo region. Who you got playing? Did you pick Stanford?
Yeah, yep. I picked Stanford.
Who you got playing Stanford?
I'll say, I'm trying to make sure I look at my bracket right. So I want to say Louisville will probably play him in the Elite 8. I want to say, yeah. Okay, I'm gonna go with that matchup, and I'm gonna say Stanford probably wins on the last possession, just because I know that Louisville's not gonna quit. I know that they're gonna compete, and I know I love Dana Evans. I know that she was really upset when they lost to NC State in the ACC tournament, but I think I'm gonna have to give this one to Stanford.
Okay, I got Stanford, Louisville, and of course my pick is Stanford. All right, Cardinals, don't let me down now. Dana Evans, don't let me down. Their defense against her will be interesting to watch. Very, very interesting to watch. All right, let's go to the Riverwalk side of the bracket, guys. Who you got in the Elite 8? Your winner was, you picked UConn as your winner, correct?
I picked UConn.
So you got UConn matching up against to win that game.
I'm going to say UConn will probably play either Baylor or Tennessee. I think Tennessee can possibly get there. But I'm gonna lean more towards Baylor, and I'm gonna pick UConn to win that one.
Okay. They played earlier this season, so UConn against Baylor. Whew. Give me a second to process. Guys, just give me 1 second to process. I said UConn by a hair. I have UConn against Baylor as well. I said UConn by a hair. Do I stick with UConn by a hair? Can I go against the grain? Can I do that? Am I allowed to do that, Nick? Am I allowed to do that?
Yeah, you can do whatever you want. Do what you think is right.
This is gonna be a tough game. And
definitely.
It's they were supposed to play this year, but it got canceled. And that was so unfortunate. On the men's side, Baylor was supposed to play Gonzaga and it got canceled.
I know, man. I think a lot of us were looking forward to that matchup 1-2, and then it just didn't happen.
It didn't happen. So they were supposed to play this season, got canceled. They're going to play in the NCAA tournament, Elite 8 in the Riverwalk region. And I'm going to pick UConn by a hair. I'm going to stick with UConn by a hair, Nick. Whew.
It's going to be a tough one. I might have to agree with that. I think they'll win on the last possession as well.
Okay, so we got something coming down to the nitty gritty. All right, the hemisphere. Your winner was South Carolina, correct? Who do you have South Carolina playing against in that Elite 8?
Oh my God. I don't know. Oh
You
my
start
God.
sweating after a while. Sometimes you
Yeah.
just start sweating because
Well,
there's
here's the
just
thing.
so many great matchups.
I'll say they'll play either of these three teams:
Okay.
Maryland, Texas, and UCLA.
Ooh.
Now, who
Okay.
will probably get further out of those three? Probably Maryland. But I will say I think South Carolina could possibly take Maryland. I'll say they'll probably win by like around 6-8 points around that area.
Okay. I'm gonna have to change up my little picks a little bit. I'm gonna have to go ahead and switch the style up. Here we go. I'm dropping a lot of dimes, I'm giving out a
Right.
lot of rap gems today.
Oh
I
man,
don't know why.
started with the Tupac, and now we
And now we've moved on to uh 50 Cent, Kanye West, kind of they both said it. All right. Shout out to Kanye West. He made the best decision of his life. That's all I'm gonna say about that situation.
Oh man,
You know what I mean? If you know, you know. All right.
definitely.
I'm gonna go South Carolina versus UCLA. I'm gonna take South Carolina.
Okay.
I'm gonna go
I'm not
against the
mad at that.
grain. I'm gonna go against the grain a little bit. I gotta switch it up a little bit. I just have to because there are going to be upsets. Now, will my picks be right? We don't know. Who knows? But we'll see. Okay, the last region, the Mercado side of the bracket. Who is your winner?
I said Texas A&M.
Okay, so you have Texas A&M going up against.
God, like Indiana looks good. Gonzaga looks good. NC
Uh-oh.
State. Oh my God. I'm gonna make this one an upset.
Uh-oh.
I'll go Indiana. I'll go Indiana. I think if they like control things defensively throughout this bracket, I think that they'll possibly get there. And I'll say Texas A&M wins. I'm gonna go with the upset one on this one.
Okay. Okay. Um. Oh my goodness. I'll go NC State by a hair over Indiana in the Sweet 16,
Okay.
and they make it to the Elite Eight. NC State does, and Texas A&M they play each other. And I picked Texas A&M. I'm gonna stick with that pick. I feel like what's that show? Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Is that your final answer? That's kind of that's kind of how I feel. All right, now we have our final four teams. Nick, who are your final four again?
For the Alamo, I had Stanford, and for the Hemisphere, it'll be South Carolina. Oh my God, that's gonna be a good freaking matchup. Oh my God, and I'm gonna be biased to go South Carolina. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it.
Okay.
I'm
All
just
right.
gonna do it.
All right. So South Carolina will be in the national championship. And
Yep.
on the other side of the bracket,
The other side, I picked Texas A&M for Mercado and UConn for the Riverwalk, and I'm gonna pick UConn.
so we get South Carolina UConn matchup. We get
Yep.
Gino Auriemma
Mm-hmm.
and Don Staley. Who is your champion?
Oh man.
Palms get sweaty, backsides get tight. My Stephen A. Smith voice.
Oh man.
Here we go. Let's go, Nick. Let's go, Nick.
Ooh. You know what? I really hope that this one possibly goes to like some overtimes, at least one or two. Honestly, I
Hit that
really
Buffalo
hope.
Wild Wings button. Just hit the button, Nick, and it'll be
Exactly.
granted. It'll be granted. I promise you.
Exactly. But if everything goes right, I'm gonna have to go with. I might have to go UConn. I might have to. I know that stings me a little bit. And I love South Carolina. I did initially pick them, but like I'm looking at both teams. Actually, no, I'm gonna switch back. I'm gonna go South Carolina. I'm gonna go South Carolina.
It's like, is this your final answer, Nick?
Yep. I'm gonna go there.
All right. Cues the music. Doo-doo-doo. All right. So I had Louisville coming out of the hemisphere. Not the hemisphere, but the Alamo. I had UConn coming out the Riverwalk. South Carolina, the hemisphere, and Texas A&M Mercado bracket. Now I got you Louisville and South Carolina. Whew. I'm going to go with Don Staley, Zed Cook, and Aaliyah Boston. I'm going to go South Carolina. I'm sorry, Dana Evans. That's the way I'm going to go. UConn and Texas A&M. Now, this could be a sneaky game. This because Texas A&M will D up. But Paige seems to get buckets whenever she wants to, and however she wants to, whenever she wants to, however she wants to. And I repeat that twice because I want you guys to understand how good she is. Will they have the best player on the floor? Yeah. Will they have the best 2 or 3 players on the floor? Yeah. All right. Now we have a South Carolina and UConn national championship. And the plot thickens. Ooh, Nick, my palms are sweaty.
It gets tough.
It gets tough. Don Staley versus Gino Auriemma.
Two elite coaches.
I know. I'm going to stick with my pick. I've said it all year. I'm going to stick with South Carolina. And I wanted them to win it last year. But South Carolina is my champ. I'm going to stick with that pick. If it doesn't happen, I won't be disappointed because they'll be back next year. They'll be back next year in the tournament. But I want to say that Don Staley will stabilize Paige in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And they will also stabilize post play with Leah Boston. So on both ends of the floor. And then the guard play for South Carolina, I think is better, a little bit better than UConn's. And that's crazy saying that because you have Paige, but I like what UConn has collectively. I do. South Carolina has collectively. I do. I like what UConn has collectively. Don't get me wrong.
Definitely.
And I might be a little biased because this was my pick for last year, but I'm going to go South Carolina by a hair. And hopefully we can hit that Buffalo Wild Wings button and we can get overtime.
Definitely.
I hope so because that would be amazing.
Right. My only challenge is for South Carolina to win it all. I need Zach Cook to be an offensive threat every single night. Now we all know that she has that ability too, but there were times throughout the season where she did kind of become passive. She was trying to get everybody else going. But I think this tournament, Don Staley needs to keep calling her number, keep writing up plays for her, and keep her going offensively. Because I think whenever she is scoring at least over 15, 20 plus points, South Carolina definitely has a better shot at winning each game.
All right, Nick, one more question. What team would surprise you the most if they didn't make it to the Final Four? Which team would surprise you the most? Like, dang, like
probably UConn.
Out of the top 16. Probably UConn.
Probably UConn, yeah. Because I think they have like the highest expectations to win it all. And if they end up somehow folding within like the second round or so, I think that'll be like the biggest shocker, honestly.
Okay. For me, I think they do have high expectations. I think South Carolina has high expectations too.
Yeah, they do.
They have high expectation. If they didn't make it to the Final Four, people be like, "What?" Because of the way that their bracket is set up. Maryland could be in their way, but they do have Texas and UCLA in their bracket as well. So when you look at that bracket, that's the hemisphere part of the bracket, it could get dicey. There are going to be some close games with South Carolina. After that first matchup, which I hopefully they get through that, there's going to be some dicey matchups. And can they get through that bracket with Texas, Maryland, UCLA, which Texas and UCLA will play each other in their second round if they both move on. And then Maryland's on the bottom side of that bracket as well. But that Elite Eight matchup could get dicey for them. That could be a shocker. But it wouldn't surprise me if Maryland, Texas, or UCLA upset South Carolina, but it would shock a lot of other people if it happened. Just because I think a lot of people are picking South Carolina to be in that Final Four and also possibly play against UConn if you didn't pick Stanford or Louisville in that national championship. All right, Nick, any final thoughts before we get out of here?
Nothing, man. I'm ready for Sunday. I mean, we already see a lot of upsets right now in March Madness. Oral Roberts beating Ohio State, which was so insane to me. So I'm very interested to see what'll happen in this women's tournament.
I wonder if we get a 15 seed to upset a 2 in the women's tournament, or if
Could
we
be a
can get
possibility.
a 1 upset. A 16 upset a 1.
Oh god, now that'll be wild. That'll
be
wild.
Wild for
Oh
women's
my
tournament.
god,
That'd be wild. For the men's tournament, it's wild. For the women's tournament,
that'll be wild.
Wow, because your number 1 seeds in the women's tournament are pretty light.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And right now, North Texas is giving Purdue all they can handle. So can a 13 upset a 4?
I think so. I definitely think so. I mean, it's all about, executing. It's all about, making the right necessary adjustments, especially late in that game. And that, even when you look at this Ohio State Oral Roberts game, that's kind of like what cost them. Ohio State had a lot of turnovers, and that end of the second half going into overtime is what really kills them.
It's gonna be some dog fights. I think the first round this year will be more interesting than it has in years past. There's no travel. The ladies are upset about how they've been treated.
Oh yeah.
So there's gonna be a lot of anger flowing through those gyms. And also, I don't think they have fans. They might have limited fans, but there's no home court advantage. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of anger. There's a lot of factors that play into this tournament, but I think this first round is going to be a doozy. You get it on ESPN, ESPN2, ESPNU, and ABC.
Definitely. Don't miss out on that. Don't miss
out on the women's tournament, guys. Do not miss out on the women's tournament. Me and Nick were excited to bring you guys the bracket and break it down for you as best as we could. In the time that we could. And we have our picks. We have it on record. And Nick, I almost got an upset today. I almost got my upset. Colgate almost was able to upset Arkansas, but they folded down the stretch.
Yeah,
Arkansas just took over. And I was like,
they did.
Dang it.
This is the best time of the year, I must say, man. You really never know who's gonna come out of a lot of these matchups. And even a lot of these smaller schools, they may not look like they have a shot, but when it comes down to that last 5 minutes of the game, some of them will turn it up a notch, and it'll honestly catch a lot of these bigger teams by surprise.
It will, and I really appreciate you guys for listening. Watch the NCAA Women's Tournament. It starts Sunday. I really, really appreciate you guys. Let me wrap up some things here. teespring.com/store/unwrapped. Get you some Unwrapped Sports Network gear. We got the VIP program at patreon.com/unwrapped sports. $1 a month, you become a fan. $5 a month, you become part of the family. $10 a month, you become VIP. You get perks with that. Also, you're gambling right now. I know a lot of people out there gambling. I see it all on my timeline. Check out mybookie.ag. Use the code USN100 to double your first deposit. North Texas, what are you doing? All right. And then, last but not least, rub those sore, achy muscles out. RxHemp.com. Use the code RxHemp/USN to get 10% off your entire order. CBD cream, warm and cool therapy made with all natural products. I am Amber Vickers. It's time for me to eat dinner. This is Nick. North Texas, what are you doing? Looks like the Buffalo Wild Wing button will be pushed, and there will be another game in overtime. You guys enjoy the men's games, but don't forget about the women. They play on Sunday. I'll be talking about it on Ladies First on Thursday. You know what I mean? I'm going to give my All-American teams. I already gave my All-Conference teams. I'm going to give my All-American teams. I'm going to talk about the women's bracket. I'll talk about the men's bracket. I want to see upsets, Nick.
I do too. I want
to see some upsets. And I know you work on Thursdays. It would have been great to get you on, but I know you work sometimes on Thursdays to talk about it. But we're going to see, Nick. We're going to see.
Definitely. Yes.
All right. Until next time, guys, we'll see you later.
Peace.